Hey everybody, Jason here. So there's an ancient story out there that should be way, way more famous than it actually is. So I'll tell the story. A being comes out of the sea, walks among human beings, and then teaches them civilization. Yeah, not just one little trick, actual civilization. And the guy's name is Oannes. This is where the story gets a bit weird because Oannes is described in the tradition preserved by the Babylonian priest Berossus, and as having the appearance of an actual fish, right? With a human form associated with or beneath that exterior. Now, during the day, he lives among the people and he actually teaches them language, writing, law, agriculture, architecture, measurements. It goes on and on. And then when the sun goes down, he returns to the ocean. So just sit with that image for a minute, right? Every morning, this thing comes out of the water. It spends the day teaching humanity how not to live like frightened little animals. And then it goes back beneath the surface at night. And we're supposed to hear that and just say, yeah, it's a primitive fish myth, and just kind of move on. Well, maybe it was. It could have been. But what kind of myth is actually that specific, right? Oannes doesn't actually demand any worship. He doesn't arrive asking people to build statues of him. He actually just comes and arrives as an instructor. The focus of the story is transmission. To me, that matters more than an actual fish body, because ancient people often remembered civilization as something that was taught. Writing was taught, law was taught, the calendar was taught, agriculture, building, measurement, on and on and on. Humanity didn't always describe itself as the lone inventor of everything, right? Again and again, decisive knowledge comes through a being. A sage, ancestor, cultural bringer, standing outside of normal society. Oannes was probably the oldest and the clearest example of this. So what exactly was Oannes? I don't know. He could have been a mythological expression of wisdom, I guess rising from the deep. In Mesopotamian religion, water itself isn't just water. The subterranean freshwater deep is connected with Enki, or Ea, the source of intelligence, craft, hidden knowledge, and even the preservation of that. So, Oannes coming from the sea may be theological symbolism per se. He could also preserve the memory of a priest wearing a fish cloak. We know ritual clothing can become fused with the body of a figure over time. A man dressed as a fish becomes a fishman in the story. Now, he could represent sailors or survivors arriving from another region with knowledge. So, look at it this way. You can imagine vessels reaching a community after war, or a flood or a collapse. And the newcomers understand irrigation, stars, writing, and even advanced stonework. And to the people actually receiving that knowledge, they may as well have come from a completely different world, right? Or, maybe the account preserves contact with something even stranger, right? That's the possibility that people immediately jump to. Alien, NHI, an amphibious being, some ancient visitor using the ocean as a base. Well, there's really no proof of that, but there's also no reason to pretend the question is stupid itself. The oceans themselves remain poorly understood environments on Earth, one of the worst. Modern reports of UFOs entering water have kept the connection between mystery and the ocean alive. And again, that doesn't prove that Oannes was some real fish guy. It kind of proves that the category isn't as dead as we'd actually like it to be. So here's what I actually find more interesting. Oannes belongs to a wider tradition of the Apkallu. Yeah, the primordial sages per se. They're associated with the earliest age of civilization. They're connected with wisdom, sacred order, and the transmission of knowledge before the flood. And then the flood then actually happens. And afterward, the relationship changes completely. The old sages become more distant, mixed, even humanized or remembered through later lines of transmission. It also feels like the story is preserving, a break per se. Before catastrophe, direct teachers. After catastrophe, fragments, priests, descendants, it just keeps going down. That might be mythology organizing time into sacred ages, or it might just be a memory. And this is why I wrote about Oannes in Skylords to Water Sages. Not because I can prove fish beings walked out of the Persian Gulf and then founded civilization, because I can't, right? I wrote about them because the story asks a question our modern history, it rarely asks. Why did ancient people remember their most important knowledge as something received, right? Maybe they were humble. I don't know. Maybe priesthoods used divine teachings to legitimize authority. Maybe old discoveries were personified as gods, or maybe somebody actually really arrived. But here's the line that actually stays with me. Oannes is not strange because he looked like a fish. Oannes is strange because humanity remembered being taught. And once you take that seriously, the mystery gets way bigger. And if Oannes was only a symbol, what real experience gave birth to such a precise symbol? And if he wasn't only a symbol, what exactly was living beneath those ancient waters of the Persian Gulf? Thanks for listening. Namaste.